Feed call, chatter, what's the difference? I thought they were the same thing. Well, that's what we're going to talk about this time on Surviving Duck Season.
Surviving Duck Season, offering you the best waterfowl content. Subscribe to this channel, click the notification bell, and don't miss any of our great content. Presented by Mojo Outdoors and High and Dry.
Hey everybody, thanks for watching. I'm Joel Strickland. Now, it has been really hot here in Arkansas, and I know throughout most of the country it's been way above normal for the last several weeks. You know, September typically it starts cooling off, and the weatherman keeps telling me next week it's going to get cooler, and it just hasn't got cooler. Today I think it's going to be like 94, 95, which is just insane for the 2nd of October. So I'm ready for cooler weather. So if it's too hot where you live, smash that like button. Let me know what the temperatures have been for you. I'm so ready for duck season coming up. We're about a month and a half out here in Arkansas, and I know that lots of places across the country are opening up this weekend and next weekend. Some of you are already open. I'm very jealous. I didn't get to go teal hunting at all during the Arkansas teal season. That closed out a couple of days ago for us, and it was just too hot. But I am positive, looking forward to a really good regular duck season here in Arkansas where we hunt, and hoping it's going to be that way for everybody, because I want everybody to have fun and do well. So today we're going to be talking about feed calls. I've gotten a lot of comments from y'all asking about feed calls. Hey, can you demonstrate? Can you show us how to do that? Can you give me an advanced feed call lesson, that sort of thing? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to talk a little bit about the different kinds of calls that we make, that we call feed calls, and kind of what they're useful for. And I've also got some of my own thoughts, like I do. You know how I am, I guess. If you've seen any of my calling videos, I kind of do things a little bit differently than a lot of other people do. So I'm going to kind of share with you some of those things as well. So let's talk about a feed call and a chatter. Now, I know a lot of people use the names interchangeably. I'm probably just splitting hairs, you know. It's just semantics, but I differentiate the two. To me, a chatter is not a feed call. A chatter is the sound that they make when, you know, ducks make when they're flying overhead. It's a clicking sound that it sounds like this. And I'm not a biologist, I'm not an expert, and I don't think anybody truly knows exactly why the birds make that sound when they're flying over, but I've heard from a few different biologists that they believe the clucking and clicking sounds that they're making when they fly in formation is a spacing call that allows them to kind of keep track of the other ducks that are flying in formation with them. I mean, we hear this sound when birds are in formation flying very high, or sometimes they're making that sound when they're, you know, in a big large group, you know, kind of working an area. And, you know, again, it's not a call that we use, you know, with ducks on the water. You don't hear them making that sound exactly on the water. It's a little bit different. It's more of a series of clucks, more aggressive sounding clucks, and you know, again, what does it mean? Does it mean, hey, here's food, come eat this food? I mean, you know, we don't really know exactly what any of the calls mean, but we know that when ducks are making that sound, they're usually in a feeding pattern, you know, either on the water or on dry ground. And what biologists say that they believe is going on, again, it's a spacing type of thing. They are feeding and they are clucking and making this aggressive sound to you know, let the other birds around know that this is where I am. And a lot of times they get more aggressive when another bird gets closer to them, and it's almost as if they're, you know, trying to run the bird off, because this is where, you know, this is my territory, I'm feeding here. The feed call that I hear more people doing when they're duck hunting, or wanting to learn how to do, is what we call a Main Street feed call, a rolling feed call, and this is what it sounds like. Do people kill ducks using it? Yes. I mean, that's the thing about a lot of the things that we do in duck hunting, whether it's with a call or whether with decoys or the way we set up. It doesn't always have to be perfectly realistic. There are lots of things that I do with my duck call that a duck does not do, but it's very effective in getting ducks to come to me, and that's why I do it. But I will say this, doing the machine gun style feeding call or feeding chatter or whatever you want to call it is probably a lot less effective than doing what most people call a broken feed call. I don't call it a broken feed call, I just call it a feed call because to me that's what a duck or a lot of ducks on the water sound like when they're making the feed call. It's not really a broken feed call, it's just a feed call, my opinion. But that is like this. And so what I do is it's kind of a hybrid between the, the clucking only type of feed call and the machine gun kind of call. That's my style. I mean, and that's what I do. So it's a and so I'm kind of mixing in a quack every once in a while. I'm kind of mixing in that tucka 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 or that dugga 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 sound that a lot of people teach with a feed call. But most of what I'm doing is more of a tuck 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 that's more realistic sounding to me, and I can also be very, very aggressive sounding with it. So again, I'll demonstrate it for you. I spit a lot when I call. Anyway, that's what I do with my call. That's pretty common that I use a lot during a day. Now I have a couple other calls that I wanted to show you because these are different mondos that I use pretty much every day of season. This is a standard Arkansas style J-frame type of call. You can make the same kind of sounds with it, with that call. I know this is a lot more of a popular call than these are, so I just want to kind of show you what the difference is. And so this is a double reed call. You can make the same kinds of sounds, as a feed call with that. So you can see, it's not something that's very specific to, I got to use it on this call and it doesn't work on, you can use it on virtually any kind of call. Probably the most common way to use a feed call is either as a backup call to somebody who is, the lead caller in your blind and you're, kind of doing the backup, so to speak, with a feed call. Or it's used as a confidence type call while the birds are getting close and you're trying to finish them. And I do that as well. But a lot of times I use a feed call more as an aggressive type attracting call. Now, you can't obviously make a feed call as loud as you can make a greeting call, a hail call, that sort of thing. But you can use it very aggressively. And again, my perspective, I'm a duck guide in Arkansas. We have lots and lots and lots of ducks. It's not like we're only, calling it a few ducks a day. I mean, there's usually hundreds and hundreds of ducks in the air, when we're calling ducks. So we have ducks that are close and a long way away, that kind of stuff. And so, what I'm doing is I'm trying different things as I see ducks pass by, and what can I do to get those ducks to react. And so, this is something that I've learned over many years of just trying different things. Being aggressive with a call works really, really well. So this is kind of what I do. You can see, and I don't know if you can see or not, it's different on video than, when you're in person listening to somebody call, but I'm making my calls very, very, very loud. I mean, these feed calls are almost as loud as, as my cadence, type calls. And that's all, very intentional, just as a very, very general blanket statement. I mix in my feed calling while I am doing all the rest of the things that I do, whether it's quacks or cadence, types of calls. And that's, that works for me. Usually I'm trying to be quieter as the birds are closer, but I don't always do it that way. Again, I'm reading the birds. I do calling seminars and I talk with people about calling and try to explain to them. There's just really no way for me to write out a list of these are the do's and don'ts of when you should call, when you shouldn't. This is the kind of call you should use at this time. It doesn't work if you do. No, all that's out the window because it is based on experience. And the only way that you're going to know when to do those certain things is trial and error, seeing what works for you. And sometimes it works today and it doesn't work tomorrow, and it worked 3 weeks ago and you haven't got it to work since then. That's all okay. It's trial and error. But generally speaking, if you find something that works, it's probably going to work again. It may not work for every duck, but there are other ducks out there that it will work on. And so, that's my best advice to you on that. So I highly recommend that you try things that are different that are out of the norm. I've said that on many of my videos. Try something different. Don't do everything the way that everybody else does it, because a lot of times you find that when you're different, that's when the ducks respond positively. If you are hunting in public area, I think that my way of calling is probably going to give you an edge over somebody else, because a lot of times that's what you're doing is you're competing with other people. And so being completely opposite of what other guys are doing can really help you, either being very, very loud and very, very aggressive or being very, very quiet. One extreme to the other oftentimes will help you to succeed, when you're in an area with a lot of competition. So that's my perspective on the feed call. And if you guys like the video, give me a thumbs up. If you haven't subscribed, please do so. I've got another calling video right here if you haven't seen it. And here's some hunting videos down here. Make sure you check those out as well. Until next time, I'm Joel Strickland. Good hunting and God bless.